entrance music. Dun-dun-dun.
Coming down in 5.
Dun-dun-dun. Here we come. Here we come.
All right. Recording everywhere, streaming, and let me just double check the stream online for you. All right.
Are we live right now?
We are live right now.
Oh,
We got a little bit of your singing.
Ah.
Nice.
I was trying to just hurry up on the fly and come up with a theme song.
All right. Go ahead and start.
All right. Hello. Oh, wait, he's giving
I was
me a
going to
countdown.
give you a
All right,
countdown.
hold on.
We'll go countdown.
All right.
In 3, 2.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Pittsburgh Current podcast. I'm Bethany, associate publisher and one of the founders of Pittsburgh Current. And I'm really happy to be here with you all today or tomorrow or Saturday, whenever you're listening to this. I'm happy no matter what. I'm here with my partner, editor, publisher, Charlie Deitch. And our first podcast, we're just going to kind of focus a little bit on the paper and sort of, how it came about, our personal backgrounds, what we want to do in the future, and just sort of let you guys get to know us a little bit better. In case you don't follow us exhaustively on Facebook and know us already.
Shame on you. Shame on you if you don't.
Shame on you if you don't. You should already know what I had on today. So,
we are live, of course, from Sorgatron Media here in the heart of Beachview.
That's right. The little hood that could, Beachview, Pittsburgh, where the Current is located. We are here with Sorgatron Media, home of Awesome Cast and the Wrestling Mayhem Show, which you will be a guest.
I will be
next
on
Tuesday?
Tuesday night, yes.
So if you don't, here's a little known fact about Charlie, or a big known fact if you've seen his desk at all. He's a huge wrestling fan.
Or the shirt that I'm
Or
currently
the shirt
wearing.
that he's wearing. And Mike Sorg here, Sorgatron Media, is also a big, obviously, has a Wrestling Mayhem Show, so they have bonded. And I'm glad that our paper has given you the opportunity to explore your wrestling side a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like this is the whole reason that we set up in Beachview.
I think that it is too. That and the tacos across the
tacos.
street. Yeah, the tacos
also,
are clutch.
also very good.
So I'm going to actually give it over to Charlie to kind of talk a little bit about the paper. This is kind of loosely organized. I have an agenda, which we've already gone off track, so good luck on that one. And also, you can ask questions on Facebook Live. Mike will be moderating, and if you don't ask any questions, I might be personally offended. I don't know. I haven't really thought about how I'd feel about that. But
I'm already having a conversation in my head with myself, so I've already asked myself 3. So I've got 3 queued
he's
up.
Covered.
So we're
Okay,
all right.
good. But we'd love to hear from you guys if you're watching live and you want to chime in. And now, so Charlie, want to talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Current?
Yeah, I think most people know my story / our story because people who certainly follow media anyway definitely know. I worked at the Pittsburgh City paper, was my home for probably since 2005. So I guess what's that, 13 years or so, 14 years, give or take. And I've been was the editor since 2014. And we had, I think every time I've told this story, I think since May 15th, the day I was discharged, I think it gets like a little calmer because it's like I had all the details in a row, and I was like, then those sons of guns. And but now it's just like, I definitely think I look back and it was definitely. I mean, they fired me, of course. I wasn't going to leave otherwise, but it was definitely we had different mindsets about what the paper should be and the direction it should go, and they're doing their thing and we're doing our thing, and that's all I ever wanted to do was just run a newspaper, have a newspaper, an alt newspaper, news media outlet that was independent of corporate ownership, and again, that's not a city paper problem. I mean, we all know. I mean, it's
look what just happened with the Village Voice.
Exactly, across the country there have been, and that was a Village Voice was a place that was bought out by a consortium initially, and then that was sort of the beginning of the end for them. And the same with the Baltimore City paper when they were bought out by the Baltimore Sun. And so, it happens, and everybody's got their own plans and agendas and what they want to do, but this is what I want to do. This is, whether it was at City Paper or somewhere else, I wanted to be able to have complete and independent editorial control with feedback from folks in the community, and so that's what we're doing. That's what we're working on, and we're getting ready to. We're actually currently working on issue. By the way, we're currently working on issue 4, and also we found that since we became the Pittsburgh Current, that we don't know if we say the word current or currently more, but you were certainly aware of it all the time.
Yes.
And it's like the world is set up to be, this world is set up for us because, so like when I go to the bank, it will say current balance. I'm like, well, this is like, this is some really personalized service they have here.
Well, like, and I know on my end, I have to constantly stop myself from naming everything we're doing currently.
Yeah.
Like, what should our podcast be called? Currently Talking. Like, all right, knock it off. You need to move on. We can't do it to death. But I think it's a great name because of not just because Current, and there are other Currents like San Antonio has an alt called the Current. I think there's a couple others, but not only is it in the now and what's happening now, and it's also a homage to our rivers,
right? Absolutely.
Which was part of it when Charlie, you had already had the name when you and I sat down to talk.
I had a fever dream.
Yeah,
and
you
it
had
came
something
to me in the night.
Yeah, you had something. So yeah, and if anybody wants to know the exact moment this idea was hatched, it was at the Doorstop Diner in Dormont, sitting underneath a Guy Fieri poster because he was there for diners, drive-ins, and dives. And that's so if you ever. We should go revisit that booth. We should ask them to erect a plaque.
To rename that booth in our name.
Could you just take down Guy and put up a poster?
Right. Picture of us.
Or the front cover of our issue. That'd be great.
And change it out every 2 weeks if you could.
Yeah, that's kind of where it all came from.
Yeah, you can find the Pittsburgh Current online at pittsburghcurrent.com and in various retail locations throughout the city. And if you would like to know where those locations are, you can go to pittsburghcurrent.com. And we have because we feel that we shouldn't, that where your paper is located shouldn't be a national secret. So
we want to make it easy for our readers to find us.
And if you want to get the paper in your establishment, feel free to email me at charlie@pittsburghcurrent.com and we will get you set up.
And you can email me too, just like for whatever.
Yeah.
Just Bethany at Pittsburgh Current.
If you want
we could
to.
rap, chat, say hi. You could give me ideas other than naming things currently. So for me, I was also a city paper alum briefly. I was a marketing director for a while, and that's where I met Charlie.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is we only knew each other for 5 months when we decided, let's just completely just say screw it, and print is dead. Let's start a paper.
And we realized, I think, probably just a couple weeks ago that neither of us actually talked to our significant others about doing this. We just came home one day and said, "Hey, guess what I'm doing?"
Yeah, like 2 weeks in, Casey, my boyfriend, was like, I just feel like we should have had a discussion about this.
He started to realize that me hanging out at your house all day for weeks on end was.
I was like, "Shh, be quiet! You're gonna wake up Charlie. He's upstairs in the guest room sleeping."
Exactly.
But I don't know. But it just felt right. And I love creating. So a little bit about my background. So I've worked in public relations my entire adult life, pretty much. Public relations, communications. I have a heavy focus on events, and I love creating things. It's a small plug coming up next month. One of my creations, Hill on Hills, World's Steepest 5K. Sign up on hillandhills.com. Those are the kind of things that I love to do, and I just saw this as an opportunity to create something awesome. And I think there's room in the Pittsburgh media landscape for more awesome things. Yeah. I don't think that existing is detracting from anybody else. I kind of look at it this way, would you want to live in a city that had one restaurant where you could only go eat?
Depends on the restaurant.
Well, if it was
a Red Lobster or an Olive Garden, something fancy like that.
Oh, Red Lobster, you go too far, sir. Can't afford that now on a media budget.
Yeah, no kidding. How dare you, sir?
But, I wanted to create something, and to me, the Current is a paper. But you and I have talked about this. I see it evolving into so much more. I mean, I definitely want to bring events into the mix, and I want the paper to be the anchor for our multimedia empire and eventual universal domination. Maybe not using stormtroopers. I haven't gotten that far yet. So I think, and can Mike tell me, is this showing up on the camp? Can you see that? Current issue. This will be out till Tuesday. When issue 4 comes out, this is our football issue.
But after Tuesday, if you'd like to have one, stop by the Current office.
Stop by the office. We usually have some extras.
Couple.
Yeah, a couple. So let me check my agenda here. So Charlie, kind of where do you see the Current going? Where it is now, and where would you like to see it? Let's say in a year.
Well, in a year, and I don't want to shoot too high, but I would like for you and I to start getting paychecks. That was something awesome. I've been thinking about a little bit lately.
No more Starbucks for me. This is home-brewed coffee.
Yeah, exactly. No, I see us. I see it's kind of hard to say because when we initially started this, we were going to be a monthly to start, and we had plans by October, November to start going every 2 weeks, and then the eventual plan was to go weekly. But we started talking. We actually had an awesome lunch with Dan Savage, activist and columnist Dan Savage, whose column you can only read in the city at the Pittsburgh Current. Dan reached out to me after my termination.
I was going to say, let's use this as an opportunity to set the record straight, because there has been rumbles that we stole Dan Savage, which nothing could be further from the truth.
Dan was planning on coming. Dan had an engagement in the city,
which I planned.
An event that was actually initially planned by Bethany at City Paper, and Dan reached out to me because some people were on him because of some of the reasons that I was terminated, or some of the things that happened right before I was terminated. They wanted Dan to know that they wanted him to cancel. So Dan reached out to me, and I told Dan that Age Free Pittsburgh, who was the recipient of the beneficiary of the event, was a great organization. So I didn't want to do anything to jeopardize that. But Dan said, once it was over, he wanted to bring his column to the Current, and we couldn't be happier. So Bethany and I met him when he was in town, and actually Dan picked up our lunch, which actually was charged to his room. So City Paper actually picked up our lunch with Dan Savage when you think about it that way. But it was but it was a good meeting, and again, it's we've had a lot of people reach out to us about partnerships, and I see that sort of guiding where we go in the next year, depending on the types of partnerships we make. And I plan us anyway. So Dan Savage's newspaper, The Stranger, they backed up to twice a month, and I think that's sort of where a lot of papers are heading. I wouldn't rule out ever going weekly, but we're gonna have to hire a hell of a lot more people to go weekly at this point.
And he did make a lot of good points about how they were happy going twice a month. And that kind of resonated with me. And we did ramp up a little bit more quickly than we originally intended. Our plan all along was to go 3 months at monthly, and then every other week, and then possibly weekly. But we were able to staff up a little quickly, and of course we had our awesome Kickstarter supporters, which we love you guys.
Thanks again to everyone.
Kisses and love. And I think that I feel good with twice a month right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think weekly. Now that we're doing this twice a month, I don't know. Honestly, God, like big props over there, City Paper. I don't know how y'all do it every week. It is, because I was ever on that side of it, and it is exhausting. It's just, I see, what we go through, and it's, if you ever want to see a mass nervous breakdown, come to the Pittsburgh Current office Monday morning at 9.
Yeah, and if you want to see a volcanic eruption, come by at about 12.
Yeah, if you want to see me really freaking out, 1:59 p.m. Right.
The first week, and then the first 2 issues, we actually, Bethany and I refused to answer the phone because I admit we were way late on our deadlines getting to the printers, and they both worked with us, and which was we've switched printers after the first issue. But everyone was really great working with us.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, so Bethany and I just avoided answering the telephone.
I was in Florida.
Right. Yeah. Bethany was in Florida, so that helped me out a lot.
Second issue came out, I was like, I have vacation.
She called me from Florida. I'm getting calls from the printer. Have you sent the pages? I'm like, well, they wouldn't be calling if I had. So.
Well, no, Charlie messaged me. He's like, we're not going to make deadline. He's like, we need to push the paper back like a week. I'm like, that is not an option.
Well, that was Friday. That was Friday.
I'm like, we've already gone public and said this is when the paper's coming.
Yep.
This is the first issue, right?
It was.
It's all blended together. Like, that's the other thing. I mean, like, starting up anything. Now, I have a healthy respect for any person out there that starts up, a food truck, a publication, a website, whatever. It is all encompassing and exhaustive. Yes.
We got a question for Brian in the chat room just joining. So would you clarify, please, physical issues are being published, and is this in addition to online content? And they're asking where they can pick up the physical copies.
Sure. So yes, we are doing a physical copy twice a month. This is our most recent issue, our football issue. And then we are online daily, publishing fresh content daily. We have on our website, there's a tab called Currently At. And if you go to that, there's actually an interactive map where you could see, and the black icons are street boxes, yellow icons are retail locations, and there's also suggested locations. So Brian, if you can't find what you want,
Right.
You suggest a place next to you, and we will send our distribution manager out, and we'll get them as long as they let us. We'll put them where you want to see them.
Yeah, and after when we come out on Tuesdays, you'll be able to see our the content from the paper will be put up on the website. But we're updating daily. We're trying to hit for 3 or 4 times a day, depending on, some days we have, because we are also the only publication in the city to be featuring Rob Rogers' cartoon, the former Post-Gazette cartoonist who was fired because they said that he was focused too much on Donald Trump, which I don't know, if you're a political cartoonist, I don't know what else you should be focused on.
Puppies.
But yeah, so we have Rob Rogers, and so we're posting. He does 3 to 4 cartoons a week. We post those online. Then we post one every couple of weeks in our paper. But also the Dan Savage column, we have that in print every other week, but we also have that, and in fact, the new Dan Savage column went live.
Unedited and untouched.
Unedited and untouched
Yes.
went up this morning.
Which, by the way, plug for, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at PGH Current. Go, do that now. Well, not now. Do it after the podcast.
Yeah, well, some people can multitask. They have
Yeah.
a phone or a tablet or.
I've got a bunch of shit here, stuff. Ooh, I just swore on Facebook Live.
No one is allowed
Zuckerberg's gonna be at my house waiting for me, yelling at me about this.
No cursing on the internet.
So that's the other thing too that you bring up a good point, something that we
Thanks.
should maybe chat about. You don't even know what it was. Just wait, let me.
I do. Go ahead, tell me.
Yeah, I think the time was right to start the Current
That's it.
because of the reasons and the whys on how
Yeah.
you got let go, and then the Rob Rogers. I mean, there's definitely a disturbing trend, if you will.
Yeah.
We talked about sometimes corporate ownership, but conservative corporate ownership is then, I think, a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a benign corporate ownership that could drive your paper into the ground.
Sure.
Or you could have one that's trying to impart their political or philosophical views
Right.
on the publication, which obviously was happening at the Post-Gazette, and I think to some extent, with the city paper. So I think that kind of atmosphere sort of allowed for a new voice, if you will.
Yeah,
which,
and
which I think we stepped in to fill.
Right, and I think that there's been a lot of that since the presidential election in 2016. I mean, there were a lot of startups, media startups. Most of them have not printed a paper, which we are.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say we are groundbreaking. Old new ground or new old ground? I'm not sure.
I'm not convinced print is dead. People keep saying it. Just because you say it doesn't mean it's true. And I'm sorry, Block, just because you couldn't make the Post-Gazette successful, just because you couldn't figure that out doesn't mean somebody else can't. Like,
Exactly.
I hate that kind of egocentric, well, if I couldn't do it, screw it, it's dead. Get over yourself, Block. I don't think it's dead. I think I see
either.
people pick up our
talk to
paper.
people, right.
Yeah, not every time, but when I drive past the fallow field stop down here, probably 6 times out of 10, I see somebody taking a paper out of the box. Obviously people still like to pick this up, like to have it in their hand, like to, maybe people, especially now, people are getting sick of reading everything on their screens. It's nice to have something tactile.
I think that, and this is some things that I've been told is that people feel that print adds a bit of legitimacy to what they're reading, and in the age of fake news and so forth and alternative facts and all this stuff, I think that sometimes there's like if you're in the mob, you don't talk on the cell phone, you go to the landline. So sometimes old is better.
Yes. Read our paper, you won't get caught by the FBI.
Yes. I don't think so.
No, I actually have a serious question. Mm-hmm. Did you write that New York Times editorial?
I did. I did. Yeah. I didn't want to get our paper,
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel about that, anonymous? As a journalist, as an ethical journalist, how do you feel about anonymous op-eds?
Well, just anonymous sourcing in general, I think that you have to be. It's something, and I think a lot of journalists are sort of mixed on. Some outlets don't really allow it at all, and I think it all depends on. And I'm very much a situational person when it comes to anonymous sources. Number one, I have to be completely satisfied that it's a legitimate source and that their story actually checks out. So there's a lot of independent reporting that goes on beforehand, and there are some cases that you don't get that story without giving anonymity. And I mean, my man Bob Woodward has been in the news a lot this week for the book he wrote on Trump, but that's how they broke the Watergate stories because they had anonymous sources. And just because there are And I think that news media is a constantly evolving situation, and so you have to kind of go with the times. And I think that these things are vital to get the truth out. And I have, despite the fact that the failing New York Times has been called the failing New York Times by our president, I have a lot of faith in the New York Times. If they've certainly had their issues over the years, we've all had our issues over the years, and so. But I have no doubt I have no reason to doubt the veracity of that, and it makes complete sense because that's just too many people. I mean, there are too many people that work for the president, that work in the White House, for all of them to be in lockstep with his asinine ideas, and his lack of courage and. So it doesn't surprise me that it's happening. It just actually surprises me that it's happening. I thought this kind of thing would have happened a lot earlier. Actually, but I think honestly, I think that 18 months to 2 years is enough time to give someone the benefit of the doubt, and so I think that that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing people stepping up. Now, would that have had more? People would have had. It would have had more credence if that person would have given their name and just resigned their position. But I think the whole point of that is look like just so you know, he's not going unchecked. He's being watched from within, and so. We got to learn another thing that another concept the president does not understand, which is treason.
Yes.
It's just, it's really like, he wants to rule, in a monarchy or something. And
I just think he just has no idea how a president's supposed to operate. So
right.
He just, he's going by what he's learned watching like West Wing or something.
Yeah, he's an idiot, basically. I think I can sum it up. He's an idiot.
Don't get us sued. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What are some other like newsy stuff we could rap about? Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, Le'Veon
Is your
Bell.
fantasy team screwed?
No. I've avoided Le'Veon Bell in my fantasy leagues like the plague for the last several seasons.
Because you never know.
He's injury prone and he likes to sit out. And I did draft James Conner in the 13th round of my 15-round draft. So I'm actually looking forward to a long Le'Veon Bell sit out.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just kicked off my shoes for those who can't see. We're getting comfortable.
We made Mike promise he wouldn't show our feet.
Yes.
Because that's another thing. My self-care has suffered.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could see my eyebrows that he waxed. I haven't been able to get a pedicure. It's like I said, it's just been constant, nonstop work. But
yeah, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Fun.
And it's worthwhile.
Fun. And I got to say too, so this is just from my perspective, and I know you just met with Lexi at the Incline. I am personally like pumped about, and I didn't realize this until I got into this side of media, how many media, print and online are ran by women in the city of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We have Lexi at the Incline, Tracy Soto over at Next Pittsburgh, Betsy Benson at Pittsburgh Magazine. And
Bethany Ruhe at the Pittsburgh Current.
I wasn't going to say that. But,
I know you were.
But no, I think it's great. I think it's awesome that I love strong women leadership. I think
me
it's
too.
Wonderful. And maybe just kind of circle back to what we were talking about before, like the Pittsburgh media landscape. Let's maybe talk about that for a minute.
Please.
Obviously there's been a lot of chatter I'm sorry, I just got distracted. I just saw a bottle of vodka. I did not know that was an option. I was just given water and coffee. So Mike, maybe next time open up a little bit more. Not everybody, people have said like, oh, are you trying to shut down the city paper?
Yeah.
Let's just like address this now. No, I think that if that was our business model, it would be an aggressively bad one.
Yeah.
No business should ever try to grow and thrive based on maybe or maybe not putting a competitor out of business. I think competition is good. I think it's healthy. I think, we're finding our voice and there's a place for us.
Yeah, and it would also be a completely suicidal strategy. I mean,
yeah,
we're young, we're new, we're starting up, and we're growing.
Little babies,
little babies,
little tiny babies.
So we have to growing at our own. We have to grow it at a reasonable pace, and so it's. And that's one of the things I think that it started was, and I'm not going to say, I was, because I wasn't misquoted at all, but I've been asked in various interviews that I'd done after I left City Paper, or after we announced that we were starting this, and I was just asked straight up, do I think that two alt weeklies can, or two alt news
Pubs.
outlets, right, can survive in the city. And I said, and I still don't know that I don't completely believe it, that at some point, I don't know that there's going to be enough I hope there's enough ad revenue to support, because honestly, I think we're doing different things, honestly.
Well, yeah, and also, and like I said, not to like tip our hand too much, but
Yeah.
I mean, ad revenue is obviously hugely important.
Yeah.
But that's not what long term we're necessarily resting our success on.
Right.
You know, but I will say we have had a dedicated community of readers, and it's growing every day. They're really passionate and they're super engaged. I mean, our engagement on social media is very, I find it very happy.
Yeah, we can't say enough about how awesome, how great
readers
people
are.
have been, readers have been.
Yeah,
and
like
just,
that email I got an email over the weekend. That woman, oh gosh, I can't remember her name. She probably wouldn't want me to say it out loud anyway, but she's getting married on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And she asked if she could have copies of the Current to put into all of her wedding guests' gift bags, which is great. And by the way, brides, email me at bethany@pittsburghcurrent.com if you too would like to give the gift of free press to your wedding guests or
Wow.
birthday guests, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. We do it all.
Do you sometimes still think you're in corporate communications? Because you still have that edge, which is, I think, is probably good.
Yeah.
Because Bethany came from corporate communications side, and every so often you
Can't help myself.
No, it's great. It helps us out a lot, but it's definitely, I see, follow us online at da-da-da-da, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, Mike. Do we have a? Okay.
We do have a question here from
All right.
David in the chat room regarding content in the paper. As a city resident, he has two questions he'd love to see more reported on. As in, he needs to understand a lot more on the water, lead and privatization, and Amazon. What if we get it? What if we don't? What are your kind of takes on those?
yeah, no, I agree, and I can tell you that if this were the old number one for the old days, we wouldn't be on. We wouldn't have podcasts, but everybody keeps things close to the vest. But we're currently working on stories on both of those topics. I think they're important too. The water situation, I think, is because the Amazon situation is going to be what it's going to, if it happens, then they're going to be. It's going to have to be dealt with, and we'll be talking about it. But the current situation with the water, with the PWSA, is, I think, the most pressing matter facing the city, because I mean, we had privatization of the system. We had Viola, watching over our water supply. I think there are a lot of people out there who aren't sure that privatizing the water system, or selling our water system, basically, is a good idea. But those are things that we're definitely looking at, and that's the thing. Rebecca Addison, former news editor at the Pittsburgh City paper, and she actually left before I did. She's working with us as our special projects editor, and you can email her at rebecca@pittsburghcurrent.com if you've got some. If you've got a news tip, or if you've got, she's kind of doing those sort of long range projects for us, and she's kind of doing those folks who are kind of in a jam, folks who've been wronged. If you've got a story to tell, Rebecca would love to hear. We'd all love to hear it, and so you can definitely reach out to us. But yeah, no, the water situation is huge, and then the Amazon situation is I don't know. Like I said, it's going to happen or it isn't, and then we're going to have to deal with that. I don't think it's good policy, or it's been good policy to not reveal what's in the offer packet and so forth. And honestly, I feel that if Pittsburgh gets Amazon, it's because we probably gave away too much to get Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't buy Pedutos. If I open it up, it's a competitive disadvantage.
No, I mean all the proposals are in, and no, I don't know. I wouldn't buy that off of any of the four mayors that I've covered in my time in the city. So, and if I wouldn't buy that off, I guess it's all kind of like I use those, they say, well, if like things that Trump did, they say, well, if Obama did that, people would be up in arms. And if Tom Murphy did if Tom Murphy, and I tried and forget that Luke Ravenstahl even was the mayor, but if
I was almost his director of communications.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Dodged that bullet.
that was a bullet that you dodged. But yeah, I mean, I would be questioning them, because it's just, and honestly, I believe Councilman Bill Peduto would be challenging the mayor on something like that. So it's, I'm not saying it's, well, no, I guess I am. I think it's the wrong way to approach something like this, but Yeah. So that's something also, both of those stories are on our radar, and they're things that we are working on.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we are really focused on, just in general, as a publication, is those neighborhood stories too. I mean, obviously Amazon and PWSA impact the city at large, including where we are right now, Beachview. There was
Right.
a big issue with PWSA billing, and I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure it was across the city, but we really do. We want to get down and tell like the neighborhood stories. There's a reason that we're at a storefront on a street in a neighborhood,
Right.
Because that's how we want to live, and that's how we want to, that's who we are. We want to be able to get back to like hyper local.
Yeah.
And I mean, the city is full of characters and amazing stories.
Yeah.
And we want to help, tell, obviously the news that is always going to be happening, but we really do want to plug back into that and kind of give those people
Right.
a voice.
And stories like that, actually, they're the big stories that filter down to the neighbor. They're the ones that are
Yeah.
going to affect you and your neighbors, and so those are the stories that we're looking for. But we're also, if I don't think you're you're probably not a competent journalist if you're not always looking for that, keeping your eye out for that big thing that's going on, and so yeah, we're just another media outlet, like Public Source and the Incline, small outlets
Yes.
who are trying to.
Is Public Source ran by a woman?
Yes, Mila.
Boom, another
yeah.
one. Add it to the list. Ha ha.
Yes, yeah.
We're taking over.
Yeah, she's a great journalist.
Yeah.
Mila. So it's it is an interesting time, and I don't really know about any of the TV stations. I don't know what their management is like.
I don't know either, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to call them all and
Go
ask
ahead.
them. I mean, honestly, like in today's media landscape, can you really have too many reliable media sources at your disposal when you're trying to learn about these issues and form your opinions on them? I mean, I think we may need even more publications, to be honest with you.
Let's not get crazy. I'm just teasing.
No, ours is enough. And any other kind of like topical stuff that you wanted to talk? Why don't we talk about our upcoming issue, which will be on the streets next Tuesday?
Yes, we have a lot. It's our guide to autumn adventures. It's our fall guide. We didn't want to just call it fall guide. So it's our guide to autumn adventures, and we're going to have a pretty exhaustive listing of everything that you can do in the city from Tuesday up through the end of November, beginning of December, and from art to music, film, and that's one thing too. We're really trying to get into the local film scene. So if you're a local filmmaker, if you've got a local film you'd like to have reviewed, get in touch with Mike at PittsburghCurrent.com, and that's Mike Watt, our film writer. Mike at PittsburghCurrent.com, and he will. He's a local director who I actually met him probably 18 years ago. I was working in Pittsburgh, the original.
I remember in Pittsburgh.
The original News Weekly in the city. I was working there, and I got a call from a guy. He said, "Hey, do you want to? We're doing this movie. This zombie is a zombie movie." And he said, "Do you want to come over? And maybe we need extras. Do you want to come over and be an extra in the zombie movie?" So I went over. I got my makeup on, and then I'm actually in the final scene of the movie, eating a security guard. So that was yeah.
Fulfilling a lifelong dream.
I didn't even know I had that dream, but it was very cool. And the movie's called The Resurrection Game. You can buy it at happycloudpictures.com. I think they still probably have a copy or two laying around.
All right.
Yeah, it was fun. And anyway, but Mike has been wired into the local film scene for a long time. He's a former teacher at Pittsburgh Filmmakers.
Okay.
And so yeah, Mike. And that's what we did. We decided to go out and find the best people for these jobs, and people who know the scenes and know the different.
Yeah, we have Ted Hoover.
We have Ted Hoover, longtime
theater.
Pittsburgh film or theater critic. He's with us, and in fact, you can read his reviews online weekly at PittsburghCurrent.com. That sounds really weird to me to like plug every time I say that, but
Why?
and if I don't know,
You have to follow it up with like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you.
I don't know if I can get there. I'll work on it, but I don't know if I
I'll
can get there.
coach you.
But yeah, so we're going to have we're going to have a feature on Thrival Fest, which is coming up.
Yep.
We're going to be looking at some immersive theater coming from Bricolage and Quantum Theater Group, and some other great stuff. We have a feature on local band The Garter Shakes, not the Garter Snakes, but the Garter Shakes. They had a big show the other night opening up for Shonen Knife, which
I believe that's online now, right? I still have to.
No, it's not. If it is, it's accidental because it's supposed to be for the paper.
Oh no, I'm thinking of the Go Lightly thing.
Yeah, we have a feature online now about Holly Go Lightly and a new band called Chantillion from our last issue. That story is online. Our music editor Margaret Welsh. Margaret at PittsburghCurrent.com. Follow us on the Twitters and the Instagrams at PGH Current. So it's we've always got something brewing over there. The thing for me has been, like, I remember when I worked in Wisconsin at a small paper, and I was the regional editor, which I didn't know what that was. It was my second job ever, and I moved to Wisconsin in the middle of the night, and it was
as one does
in the middle of winter, by the way, which is really smart. But I found out that one of my duties was to lay out the farm page. And apparently it's basically if
we
there
should get one of those.
A farm page.
Yes. Talk about a differentiator.
Yeah, and so, but that's how I learned how to lay out pages on the, and again, I'm not a designer by any stretch of the imagination.
That is true.
But all those things that I've kind of done, how dare you? All those things that I have done have sort of like led me here, because it's like, I don't do a lot. We have a great designer. But, all those things have helped me because I've been doing a lot of different jobs. You've been doing a lot of different jobs, and it's...
Yes. I'm our CFO, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
But less terrifying if I was the CFO.
Yes. It's the best bet.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mike, I think, got a question. Is it okay?
I do have a comment, from Ryan out there. I hope you all are filming your startup. This is a great potential to have a huge impact on the media landscape and make for an amazing series.
Well, this is being recorded right now.
I've actually been wearing a private body cam for the last 14 years.
I have a GoPro on the back of my head. No, we haven't really thought about that.
No.
So as a PR person, I should be pitching our story out, and I have at times, but it's really, really difficult to find time to do everything. But we have a director of operations starting next week on Monday. I won't say who it is. I'll hold that till Monday. But I'm hoping that as I get more time freed up when we staff up and I could offload some of the things I've been doing. I really do. I want to kind of focus on those kind of things. I want to tell our story. I think it is a good story, and I think it also, like, now that we're in it.
Who would play you in the movie or the Netflix series?
Drew Barrymore, duh.
Drew Barrymore. I was thinking,
or Christina Applegate.
I was thinking for myself either.
I've been told I look like neither.
Either George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers, or the ghost of Chris Farley, perhaps.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Call his agent. Well, that could be. You'll just be a hologram. But no, thank you, Ryan. That is a great idea. And if you are a videographer and you're volunteering your time, you can email me, Bethany at PittsburghCurrent.com. We would love that.
We can pay you in concert tickets and tacos.
And hugs.
And he says no pressure.
Yeah, let's talk about pressure for a second.
Yeah.
There is this enormous pressure to succeed once you put yourself out there publicly. So we're like all laughs and giggles right now, but as soon as the camera turns off, we're both bursting into tears. I think.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's a lot of pressure.
I haven't cried this week, actually. It's pretty good.
I haven't cried today, so okay. But it's early. It's not even lunchtime yet.
Right.
And I think it's okay to talk about that. Like it's scary. It is terrifying to put your butt out there, to put yourself out there, and risk failure. Which is why it's not an option. I mean, we're not at all failing. We're actually doing incredibly well, considering we started a paper in 6 freaking weeks.
Yeah.
But it is, and we
went from eggs to publication in 6 weeks.
Yeah, seriously, from Guy Fieri to distribution in 6 weeks. Thanks, Guy. Guy, if you ever want to talk to us, call me. I'm not going to say my phone number on Facebook Live. So yeah, I mean, it is. It's a pressure, but it keeps you going, right? It really is. It's a motivator. I mean, we want to succeed because we want to succeed because we think we have a great product, and we want to continue to put it out there. But this is not for the faint of heart. Like, that is for damn sure.
Yeah. And what's truly scary for me was the prospect of going. I mean, 'cause look, this is the only thing I delivered pizza for 2 weeks, and I wrecked the delivery thing, and then I worked at the post office for 4 hours. Other than that, I've only worked I've only worked as a journalist. And the post office thing basically was I had just gone out on my own freelance. It was about 2003, and I had some clients. But my wife thought it was the holidays were coming. She said, maybe you should get a seasonal job. And I said, oh, great. You know what I'll do? I'll go to GameStop. And because I thought, that would be great. But
You just nerd out all day.
But we got, they send the cards in the mail. It says, earn whatever, $18, $15 an hour. Da, da, da. So I went through like the longest interview process I ever went through, 2 drug tests, like 4 interviews, like these cattle call interviews at like a local hotel. And then I get the job. I show up for the first night. I had some hard stinking work, and so I realized that this wasn't for me. Like it was not for me at all.
You did not want to work at the post
no
office.
And it was it was a very there was a couple of little things that happened, and ripping my pants was one.
Was that just like a sign?
Yeah, and expelling anyway, so I decided to leave. And so literally we went on a break, and I was just
never came back?
I was walking out. No, well, but the doors were locked from you couldn't get out. And so one of the supervisors saw me kind of shaking the door, and she said, well, honey, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go. And she said,
Just out.
she said, oh, what's wrong? Do you need to go outside and smoke? I said, no, I just need to go home. This is not for me.
I just want to be a journalist.
I said, this is not for me. And so she said, well, you're going to have an exit interview. And I said, I've been here for like 3 hours. I got to have an exit interview. So then I had a 40-minute exit interview with the post office. Why are you leaving? Because this kind of sucks for me.
Split my pants.
Because it just was not, it was not my cup of tea. And I admit it, all admiration to people who do, who work in that field in labor and do that stuff. I mean, it's I've always said, like, I don't know that I've ever had a real job. I've always kind of said that, and I know what we do is obviously a real job, but it's like labor's not my thing. And 4 hours at the post office.
Oh,
But I didn't want to go. How this all started was, the scariest thing to me was going to work at another paper where. Yeah. I mean, on some level, similar things were going to happen because I was always going to have it. And honestly, over the past however many years, I've sort of built up a reputation. I mean, I've done a lot of column writing. I've done a lot of opinion writing. And so, honestly, for a lot of papers, too, that's, when they're trying to portray a down-the-middle stance, they don't necessarily want somebody who's put themselves out there like that. And, I can appreciate that. I can respect that. And so... honestly, I think this was certainly my best move, if not my only move.
Your only move. It was either this or
aside, because I'm probably like banned from the post office, so that's not happening.
Well, that's
can't go back there.
Can't send you to do our mail.
Exactly.
That's for damn sure. Thank God for us. Let's see. So we talked about our next issue next week. So we're gonna be doing this weekly. Right,
yes.
Mike? Is that, yep? Now, I don't know if I'm going to be here every week, or if Charlie, we might not. It's not just going to be us just sitting here talking, as entertaining as this is.
We're gonna discuss the issue. We'll let you meet some of our people. We'll bring in some guests. We've got a great staff. We've got a great young staff, and I think that it would be really great for folks to kind of get to know them. And we hired recently some of our hires, some recent college graduates, Haley Frederick and Amanda Reed, and a somewhat recent high school graduate. Our visuals editor, Jake Mizlivchek, is
glad you could say it.
Is 19 years old, and I got to know him because he was an intern at City Paper, and he is an extremely talented photographer, extremely talented videographer. And I relate to him a lot because I didn't go to college because I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be a journalist immediately. But, that was sort of I was coming out right at the end of where you could be an apprentice journalist. So college was the only way for me to go about that. And so, Jake came to us at City Paper. He wanted to do an internship. We told him he had to wait till he was 18. He was still in high school. But he doesn't want to go to college. He wants to be a photographer. He wants to learn on the job. And there aren't many opportunities to do that. And that's one thing, again, for the future. We talk about the future. That's one thing I want to do is I want to get more people involved in journalism through apprentice type situations. And
we started our nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm really proud and excited to have Jake. He offered to go get pizza yesterday, which was awesome.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, you missed that.
We're,
But
we're right up the street from Fiore's Pizza, which is a Pittsburgh institution, if you will.
But we're giving. I love giving young journalists a chance, and it's exciting. It's exciting to work with new people who bring new, fresh looks and ideas to the table, and so it's been fun. That's been really fun for me because I'm like 70 or 80 years older than.
Yeah,
most
no,
of
I was
these
gonna say it's
kids.
really great working with people that don't know who Myron Cope is. Like, who are their parents? What are they teaching these children?
She's from Central Pennsylvania, Bethany.
That's,
It's
I'm
fine.
still not buying that as an excuse. Sorry, Haley, calling you out. Cool. Well, I think that's good for our first podcast.
Pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in summary, competition is good. We love everybody, even our haters.
I didn't rip my pants.
Charlie didn't rip his pants. Let's keep churning out great content because it makes the city better. It makes people smarter. We are really passionate and dedicated. We're so incredibly grateful to our community of supporters. Like, let me say that. We love you guys a lot. Oh, wait, Mike.
One comment probably to close
Yes,
here.
sure.
JC's asking if you guys are up for tours.
For tours?
Can they come visit you up here?
Absolutely. We are at
Absolutely.
1665 Broadway Avenue.
We do have a surprise kitchen.
We do. We have a kitchen.
That's the tour. Highlight.
It is. It's our ta-da moment.
You think you're going to get a mop, but no, you can get a sandwich in
It's
there.
utility closet, but
Yeah.
if you make a right, it's a kitchen.
It's a kitchen.
We want. That's why we have the storefront. We want people to stop in and to say hello and to meet us and talk with Charlie. Just maybe not Monday mornings.
And I also want to point out, you guys are between the beer distributor and Tolan FX.
Yeah.
Yes, we
That
are.
has to be a very unique sandwiching.
We get drunk and then we get freaked out by the zombies. So for those people that don't know, Tolan FX is a special effects. It's owned by Steve Tolan, who's a local Beachview guy. And he does a lot of the special effects for all the movies and TV shows that are filmed here in Pittsburgh, going back to the filmmaking community. And they do have all kinds of interesting things. Like if you walk out and you see like through the window, like they're building like a dismembered torso, which is, thank God I know what they do over
Right.
there. Otherwise, I might be alarmed. But yeah, no, we're in a great little neighborhood here. So, you can get a taco over at Las Palmas, go eat up the street at Musa, grab a beer at JNS, and come and see us. We'd love to have visitors.
Absolutely. News tips, Charlie at PittsburghCurrent.com. If you have an event you want listed, Charlie at PittsburghCurrent.com or listings at PittsburghCurrent.com.
Yeah, and you could always go online, too. We have a form online to submit your event listings or just, like I said, suggest a location. So we're just really happy to be here. We're working really, really hard for you guys, and I hope you appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. I hope you're enjoying the paper. I hope you're reading it online. I hope you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I hope you guys tune in next week.
Absolutely. I'll be here.
Maybe. New issue hits the stands next Tuesday. That's it.
All right.
We're good, Mike. Cut it off, Mike. I don't know what to do with my hands.